I'm running a JCM 800 modded in with my quad cortex and kind of taking a direct line from the quad cortex and then running my cab and miking up that as well. So you get a blend of like the really clinical sound and like I use a lot of effects. So there's a lot of processing going on. I'd be traveling around with a fucking huge pedal board. So the quads are great for that. But, you know, Marshall sent out this modded JCM 800 and I plugged it in last week, swapping between the real and the captured preset. I'm like, yeah, it's really like leveled up the guitar sound on stage. So this is our side stage setup. We've got our racks here, we've got playback here, and then this is Guitar World. Essentially, it's quite a, I say simple setup, it's not really. I'm running from a guitar into the quad. I've got a bunch of pedals at the start, overdrives and kind of compressors and whatever, and then it comes out into the JCM 800 modded. I first got hold of this amp when we played 2000 Trees and you guys had a stall, and I was trying out a bunch of amps. I was kind of like, again, trying to find what sound worked for me. This thing's sick. Like, I've used 800s in the past. I love them. They're obviously such an iconic amp. But the additions to this with the ability to kind of like drive it a little bit more with the different overdrive settings, the mid boost, stuff like that. So I've got a mid boost on this. It sounds f***ing great. So it comes out of that, goes back into my quad, splits out of that and goes into the cab. So this is the quad. Yeah, so like that's a JCM there. So you can see the signal chain. It's a bunch of pedals beforehand, and it splits into there. There's the JCM 800, bit of EQ, and then out to like a cab emulation, which goes to my ears, and then out to the cab over there. Here we find myself sat on our wonderful Marshall cabs. They look boss. We really wanted them to match up with the backdrops and the rest of our kind of aesthetic. We're all kind of like, we all love red. So, you know, it's a big, bold color. We had a bunch of the old, 1960B cabs, and they were just a bit tired, and we were thinking, how can we tie this all in? So yeah, we kind of like kicked around some ideas. I mean, everyone hangs on to the milk part of our name, so incorporate the drops, why not? But yeah, they look so smart, like in between. We've got them to color match the grill to the same color, the same red as the backdrops, and they sound great. They fit. They kind of like tie our stage setup together. We normally have a riser here, but just because of the space, we've had to put these in here. But yeah, so normally with our stage setup, when we've got a bigger stage, we can kind of push this out to stage right, push this out to stage left, and then two cabs fit in next to these blinders here, and then we've got a central platform with like a little step up. These guys go in front, and then there's another two cabs that go in there. So it kind of ties this back line across nicely. Like, it's nice. We're all on in-ears, so it's nice to have that power behind you, when you're digging in, to feel like you're actually playing live rather than just like playing in some headphones. So yeah, this one's live, and we mix the signal in from this cab out front in with our quad cortex and JCM 800 modded. We've got really strong affinity to Marshall, and we always kind of have. Hannah and myself have always loved like the classic Marshall look. I think it's like such a timeless amp. It just sounds amazing. Like, these are stacked with V30s. I've A/B'd them with a lot of different cabs, and I can't find anything that feels like my tone. So I just keep coming back to them. They look sick. They look well cool. I think that helps, obviously, when you've got to put them on stage. But that they're such a iconic brand, and there's a reason why they've been around for so long. Is because they're sick. I mean, due to budget and space limitations, I've got a small studio in my house, and that's where we do all of our writing. And we did the whole of our first record there. And I had a computer, I had a couple of guitars, and a lot of it was done in the box with like plugins and stuff like that. But with the second album, we wanted to bring it you know, back to the old school where you'd go into a studio and you'd sit down and you'd play around a bit, and you know, you'd make these mistakes and find these intricacies and nuances and stuff like that that really helps take a record that's kind of like is good to the next level. And you know, with music coming out so quickly and there's so much of it, and you know, there's a lot in our genre or whatever, I think it's really important to find your own space and your own sound. So that was something that was really, really, really at the heart of the record. There you go. Let it rip.